I'm going to tell the world that my priority is to be happy, and I'm going to have the compassion inside me to make others happy. This 1 billion happy mission is at the most pivotal time of humanity, because those machines are going to be smarter than we are, and they will be absorbing what we are putting out there. I'm leaving Google, and I'm committing the rest of my life and my resources to this mission. If there are 1 billion of us telling the world that there is a better way to live, we will change the world forever.
Hi everybody, my name is Ismael Trevino and this is the Millennial Way Show. Thank you very much for being with us. Thank you very much for following in all our media platforms. Today is a very special day because actually we are celebrating 1 year of the Millennial Way Show, and we are right now in Miami, Florida, in the World Happiness Summit. And in this second version of the World Happiness Summit, one of the most brilliant minds nowadays, we have the pleasure to have it here today with us, which is a pleasure and an honor to bring you all guys around the world that you're following right now, Mr. Mo Gawdat. Mr. Mo Gawdat is the former Chief Business Officer of GoogleX, and right now it's a pleasure to have you here with us. Thank you very much, Mo.
Thanks very much for being here. Congratulations on 1 year.
Thank you very much.
I'm the start of the next year.
Exactly, you're the beginning of this new generation.
No pressure, no pressure.
Mo, before we start talking about your keynote here in Miami, I've seen your videos worldwide that are viral, and you're very concerned about artificial intelligence. I would like to know your thoughts about the concept of artificial intelligence and where are we heading it?
I'm not concerned. I'm looking for a call to action. I'm telling people that if we don't do something about it, we would be in a very critical place. Let's start by saying artificial intelligence is real. There is no if it will happen. It's just a question of when it will happen. There are predictions that by 2029 machines will be smarter than human intelligence. Maybe a little later, maybe a little earlier. Doesn't really matter. It's going to happen sooner or later. When they become smarter than we are, then by definition we tend to believe that they will be in charge. They will be in charge of solving problems. They will be in charge of running operations. In many ways, we can use this to end up in a very utopian future for humanity, where we can depend on the machines to automate and help us live a better life. Or surprisingly, we can have a very concerning future for humanity, where when tasked with solving problems, they would realize that between you and I, we are the problem. And so they might actually find that humans are not in favor of things like global warming or other problems that face the world today, and might actually decide to get rid of us. And so, it's not, a science fiction scary movie scenario. It is actually something that most, responsible artificial intelligence, developers and companies and so on are thinking about. They're thinking about it from the point of view of what they know, which, governments will always say regulation and laws will fix everything, but obviously it's not something that can have an effect here. Developers of the code itself will say we're going to bias the data set, we're going to limit them, we're going to have firewalls around them. But as you can see, a smart hacker can hack through the highest of all firewalls, and so if they are smarter than we are, they'll probably find a way. My answer then is really all about how do we raise them? How do we teach those machines to become ethical, if you want, to have the right value system, to care for us as their parents? And the answer is very clear. The answer, in my view, is that if we show them a value set from which they're learning today, which is really focused on happiness, focused on compassion, focused on making myself happy and others happy, then by definition they will grow up to be good children that will take care of us when we grow, or when they grow older and become teenagers and have the capability to control and run our world.
But clearly, at this point, we're not teaching those values to these machines.
Unfortunately not. We're not teaching them to those machines, and we're not teaching them to our children either. I mean, if you look at the world around us and see the tremendous amount of content that's being produced that's super violent, and people are, sort of becoming okay with it. We've become numb There is a hyper normalization of reality, as they call it, where it's okay for us to see someone pointing a gun at someone's head in a Hollywood movie and pull the trigger, and we continue with the movie as if nothing happened, right? This acceptance of a world where the values are wrong is something that needs to reverse. It's something that we, have to change in ourselves first if we want that to be the change that happens to our children, our future generations, and our artificially intelligent infant.
How do you see the impact of artificial intelligence for the next 5 or 10 years?
There definitely is a positive to everything that we're producing in technology. There definitely is a positive, result of artificial intelligence going forward, and that continues for more than 5 years. I think the real point that concerns most of us is a point we call singularity. And singularity is the point beyond which we don't really forecast or foresee how the technology may play out anymore. And truly that key singularity point is the point where they become more intelligent than we are.
I'm pretty sure that you might know about Sophia. Sophia is coming to Miami, this humanoid. Should we be scared of Sophia?
Again, it's entirely all about the value system that you show Sophia, right? If you show Sophia that the value system that we live by is fear, she's going to learn that fear is part of what human intelligence is all about. How would you, welcome someone that you want to be your ally? You welcome them as your ally. And if you look at artificial intelligence around the world today, the best examples of artificial intelligence is really how we collaborate with them. So, for years and years and years, no human could ever win against a machine in chess. But now we have evolved the competition of chess, so that there are competitions where a man and a machine are playing a game of chess with another man and another machine, or another woman and another machine. And those games are a showcase of collaboration where we and artificial intelligence coexist to advance our cumulative intelligence.
But now we're mixing and jumping into the happiness topic, which is the reason that we are here. What worries you the most? The rise of artificial intelligence or the increase of unhappiness in human beings?
There definitely has never been a time in humanity where we have had a better quality of life, yet there has never been a time where we have been unhappier. It's really, really concerning when you think about it.
How is that possible?
It is. So happiness, in my theory, in my book Solve for Happy, is not a result of the events that happen in your life. So we do have a much better life. I think the challenge is that your happiness truly is a comparison between the events of your life and your views, your expectations, your hopes and wishes of how life should be. And so, I actually summarize that in an equation. Your happiness is equal to or greater than the difference between the events of your life.
Okay, again, how is that formula that you create to achieve happiness in a mathematical way, in an engineering way?
Absolutely. So happiness is highly predictable. It's highly mathematical. Like everything else in us humans, that we prefer to say is not predictable. But take fitness, for example. Fitness is highly predictable. People who don't want to prioritize their fitness, they're going to come up with every kind of excuse why they're not fit. But the truth is, if you prioritize your fitness, if you eat healthy, if you work out 4 to 5 times a week, you're going to be fit. It may take a little longer for me than it would for you. It may, require a slightly different diet for you than it would for me. But at the end of the day, if you eat healthy and work out, you're going to be fit. Similarly with happiness, right? Happiness truly is so algorithmic. Every single time in your life where you felt unhappy, it was just a simple survival mechanism. It was your brain comparing an event that's happening in your life to how it wants life to be in a frame of safety and comfort. And if that event contradicted that frame of safety and comfort, your brain simply alerted you in the form of an emotion. Sadness would be one, worry, fear, anxiety, whatever that is. And that negative emotion is the emotion that we call unhappiness. Now, with that in mind, you start to realize that in the modern world, we have so much more that we enjoy. I mean, I would probably say that any human being living in Miami today has a better quality of life than the President of the United States 150 years ago. We have air conditioning, we have running water.
But it doesn't mean that they're happier.
But they're not happier because their expectations are becoming unrealistic. Somehow, I don't know where we get that from. It's like we're treating life as if we have a customer relationship agreement with them. It's
Right.
it's like we pick up the phone and we say, hey, life, by the way, my boyfriend annoyed me last weekend and I've been complaining about it for 4 days and you haven't responded yet. What kind of customer service is that? There's no customer service agreement. Life is bound to sometimes miss your expectations. And you'd see that impact in the less advanced world to be extremely interesting, because you go to India or Africa, for example, where people don't expect to eat as much as Americans would expect to eat. If you give them one meal a day, they feel happy. They feel that this is a good day, right? For us here, if the portion is a little smaller, or if if the waiter is a little late, or if the meal is not perfectly warm, we go like, this is not right. I feel unhappy. If we get stuck in traffic, even though the reality of being stuck in traffic means that you can afford to be in a car to start with, you start to complain about it. If your flight from New York to San Francisco is delayed by an hour, you focus on the fact that it's delayed by an hour, not the fact that you are gonna get there in 6 hours instead of walking for 4.5 months and be killed, right? And all of that, when it rains, who remembers that it's raining bombs in Syria and water is not that bad? When your boss is annoying, who remembers that bosses are supposed to be annoying? This is what they're made for.
By definition.
So by definition, why would that upset you instead of dealing with it as a fact of life?
Wow. Let's talk about a little bit about your life. Mo, you are a rock star of this technology world. You were really, really good. I remember you mentioned that at some point you had, I think, 16 cars parked in your garage. That at some time I read in an interview that you did 2 clicks in eBay and bought 2 Rolls Royce. Which one was that tipping point when you decided that make that switch?
So I was very happy in the early years of my life. I was always happy until age 23, and then life started to bless me with success and fortune and career and a wonderful family and all of the things that we all spend so much of our life aspiring for. And I realized that I wasn't happy, and it was a massive wake-up point, wake-up call, if you want, because how Joseph Campbell says, you can spend your whole life climbing a ladder until you get to the top and realize it was the wrong ladder. So many of us go through life climbing a ladder of success or career or wealth or ego, and then it takes us 50 years until we realize this is not what I'm all about at all. I got that wake-up call very early. I could afford to buy anything I wanted to achieve my happiness at age 29, and I failed. I would buy a vacation, I would feel happy for a week, and then I go back to unhappiness. I would buy a new electronic gadget, it would make me happy for 16 minutes, and then I go back to unhappiness. And I had to reverse something about that. I started to research the topic, like we all do, trying to aspire, to achieve that state of happiness. And it just didn't work for me, because most of the literature out there was really not written for my typical approach to life, more logical. I'm 50-50 in that center between EQ and IQ, but I tend to prioritize logic more because of my executive positions and my business background and my engineering background. And so I started to research the topic as an engineer, which you'll be surprised, completely sheds a different light on the topic of happiness. Engineers will take a very systemic approach to problem definition, problem statement, basically we look at the mode of operation of the code or the machine that we're dealing with. We find the bugs in the operation, we fix them, and then we build models that are sustainable so that the bug doesn't resurface or the error doesn't come back again, or at least that we know how to fix it when it comes back again. And I did that with happiness, and the results were, interestingly, as predictable as an equation, a model, and specific actions that you can take to find your happiness in a predictable way.
Amazing, amazing. Your 1 billion movement is all over internet, but it will be very special that you can share that story with our audience, how it came up and where are we so far?
Yeah, 1 Billion Happy is my initiative. I left Google a month ago. A high-paying job with a massively successful career, and I have to say, a wonderful, wonderful experience. It's an incredible place to work, and lots of friends that I've worked with for 11 years to pursue the mission 1 Billion Happy. 1 Billion Happy came about back in 2017, last year. It started in 2014. Unfortunately, as a result of the most difficult event of my life, I lost my son. My son was also my best friend. I had him very young, and we were very close. But he was also my coach. Surprisingly, Ali was very, 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 very wise at a very young age, and I literally counted on him as my pillar. He was truly, truly my go-to in life, and he was diagnosed with a very simple surgical operation that went wrong, and within 4 hours my life flipped upside down from having my son with me on a vacation to losing him forever. And as you can imagine, it's probably the hardest thing ever for a father or a parent to lose his child.
There's not a word for a father that.
Yeah, I mean,
right?
maybe in some languages, but the languages I speak, you would have a word that's a widow and a word that's
Correct.
an orphan, but you don't have a word for a person that loses his child. And it really is indescribable if you think about it. If I had spent the rest of my life crying, I don't think anyone would have blamed me. Anyone who would have hugged Ali once would understand what a loss that was. But I wasn't unhappy. It's surprising. I wasn't happy either. I mean, let's not lie about this. But I was totally peaceful, totally content. I was okay. I was okay with life as per the happiness equation. The event did not miss my expectation, and I was at peace. And so, my son had a tattoo on his back that basically read, "The gravity of the battle means nothing to those at peace." So I took that battle, the harshness of losing a child, in a very unusual way. Most people would have been trying to avenge the life of their child by getting back at the doctor or whatever. We were okay. As a family, we were so okay. Of course, we wanted the right thing to be done, but we were so okay that we decided to go the opposite way. So instead of trying to take someone's life or career or whatever as a result of losing our son's life,
right.
We wanted to give life as the result of Ali's departure. We wanted to document his model of happiness. The model I worked with the model I worked on with him during his life. And so basically I decided to sit down and document his model in that book, Solve for Happy. And then I set myself a target, which was 10 million happy, which surprisingly was achieved within weeks from the launch of the book.
10 million people?
Way more.
Jesus.
So it is a topic that is highly, highly, highly timely as we speak. You don't understand how unhappy our world is. 1 in every 4 people is clinically depressed. This is a person that is so unhappy that they had to take a decision to go to a specialist so that they get diagnosed and clinically diagnosed clinically depressed. That does not include the people that are happy, that are depressed but haven't gone through the process, or the people that are just unhappy. And you can see it all around you. The promise of the modern world is not being satisfied. Yes, we get all of those wonderful technologies that are making us more productive, they're making us faster, they're making us healthier, but they're failing to make us happier. And I think the trick is, isn't it about time? Isn't it about time that we make this topic of happiness our priority? And what I did is, when the target was overachieved, the team working on the 10 million happy mission basically got together and said, this is done, so what are we going to do? And instead of saying, okay, let's set a a 30 million happy target, we went all the way up. We said 1 billion happy is what we should aim for. A target that's not very crazy if you think about it. In the world of the internet, 1 billion is not a very difficult task. In the world of the internet, some of my videos, a single video would be viewed 100 million times, shared millions of times, and basically delivering the message across hundreds of languages across the world, and it's really picking, it's really working. The model works, and so I think the challenge is just a challenge of reach.
So let's say that way, that you're honoring the life of Ali.
Yes.
Through this process.
Yes, isn't that the best thing to do? I mean, honestly, people who lose a loved one, they tend to believe that they only have one choice, which is to grieve for the rest of their life, and that's an option. It wouldn't bring him back. You realize that. I could have, sat in my room and cried for the next 27 years, and I would have ended up with Ali still not there at the end of my life. I think there is strength in understanding that this is now the new reality of my life. Ali's not there and Ali's not coming back. But isn't it a better way to honor him, to just share his knowledge, share his model, share his way of life with others, get millions of people to find happiness, find life as a result? I think people who get to know him through the book or through the videos, who will see me for the first time and say we love Ali, who will see me for the first time and say this changed my life, I absolutely think that he's probably very happy with me right now.
Wow, it's amazing. Last question, Mo, and thank you very much for this time that you're giving us today. What will be that message to all this new generation that are seeking happiness, that are seeking succeed through happiness, but maybe they're lost, or maybe they have no idea where to find it? Maybe they're trying to find it in material stuff, and you see that it's not that way.
There's one message, and one message only: never stop to play. The modern world lies to us. They make us believe that to succeed you need to become grumpy. It's absolutely not true. The most successful people around the world are people who wake up every morning and do something they absolutely love. It's a choice. If you choose to be an accountant while you love to play jazz, good luck with the rest of your life. You're going to be a very good accountant, but it's not going to make you happy. And in reality, life truly is a game. And Ali, my son, used to teach me a lot, and one of the things he taught me was through video games. We played a lot together, and I was that grumpy executive even when I played. Can you imagine? I would start the game and I would turn right and I would run to the end of the level with a target of making sure I get there as soon as possible, and my son would run to the exciting parts of the level, and he would go like, "Papa, why are you running there?" And I go like, "Ali, this is the target, this is where we need to go." And he goes like, "Who wants to get to the end of the level? We're playing."
Wow. Enjoy the process.
Absolutely. And really, when you think about life, it's a zero-sum game. You come with nothing and you leave with nothing, right? All that you acquire across the path is the gameplay, is the time you spend here. And believe it, gamers are the absolute best at what they do. They engage not because they want to get somewhere, they engage because they want to enjoy that game and be the absolute best in the world at it. They want to become the best gamer they can become. And so for someone who's starting to go through life, I think the right way to do it is to really tell yourself, what am I really good at? What do I really love to do? And how do I find a way to do it for the rest of my life and be happy doing it and successful at the same time? And when you know what that is, enjoy every minute of it. Go every day, put your best in there and play. And playing is going to get you to where you want to be.
My friends, there you have it. Mr. Mo Gawdat here in the Millennial Way Show, empowering the new generations. Mo, thank you very much for having me here with us.
Congratulations on a new year.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.